Howdy folks, Elcorex here, and welcome to Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, episode 58. And today we're going to delve into another medium mech, the Clint, the 40-ton mech. I like it. Now, let's just delve into this little bugger and see what she's all about. Alright, 40 tons, it's a 696. Has those jump jets, so it's very mobile. So it kind of falls into the realm of the light mech. It's kind of a light mech that's ate too many donuts. Now, it has 10 heat sinks, 72 points of armor, which is kind of lacking in a way, which kind of puts it in, to me, with that low amount of armor, that puts her into the kind of light mech category, where you don't want to sit there and talk about things too much or hang around too much in the battlefield. You want to get it moving fast. Keep it from all that fire that's coming your way. Now, let's see, with the 72 points of armor, pretty much, it's kind of like the other 40-tonners we've been talking about. It has the same problems when it comes to armor. Alright, you just have to keep moving. Now, Armament has an AC 5, and the right arm has 1 ton of armor or ammo. In the right torso, then it has 2 medium lasers, 1 in the center torso, 1 in the left torso. Then it has those 6 jump jets, and the 2 in the right leg, 2 in the left leg, and 1 in each torso, right and left torso. Alright. Now, the only problem I've ever had with this mech is that ammo. Alright. There's not much other than you have the 1 ton that's sitting in that right torso, and then you're going to have that 1 jump jet. And maybe 1, I think if I remember correctly, 1 heat sink, and that's also in that location. So you got a 1 in 3 chance if you get a crit on this guy, you're going to hit the ammo. So you got a 33% chance of blowing this thing up if you get through. And the problem with that is that, well, to be honest with you, there's only 6 points of armor in that torso. So if you hit it with anything that's a large laser or above, you have a good odds of sending this guy to the grave. Alright, so that gives you an idea what to have to do with this guy. You gotta move as much as possible, move as fast as possible. And like when it's always going down to I always like to play, when we do play, it's usually those games where you're going to be doing a scenario or you're doing a campaign, and you always have to look down range where you want to go, how fast you want to move, and moving from one place to another and trying to use as much cover and concealment, or in the case like someone like this, you're going to be either jumping or running. And with that 6 jump, yeah, this guy can get around pretty decently. So you're going to have a few modifiers there, and if you're looking at it, I can either run to let's say a wooded hex, or get behind some partial cover or something, get behind a building, or hell, it seems like I'm preaching to the choir by this time. But if you're new to this and you haven't listened to any of my other ones, I'm a big fan of, it's kind of like playing chess in a way. You have to look several turns in advance when you're using your light mechs, or in this case it's a medium mech, but he acts like a light mech. And you have to look out ahead where you want to go. It's like 2 turns ahead, maybe 3 turns ahead. He's like, okay, I can move, I got this 9 movement, or I can move 6 movement using jump jets. How far is it to this location? How far is it to that location? And you start getting yourself into that mindset. How can I just leapfrog across the battlefield, trying to mitigate as much open terrain as possible to do this in the best way possible from being blasted off the table. Now, one thing with this mech, you know, you do have that AC5, but you have no LRMs on this thing, so you can't do any indirect. Now, one thing I kind of like about this mech, and I've used it in the past, is kind of the anti-scout mech also. This thing can act sort of as a hunter killer too. Instead of just being a pure scout, it can hunt down other smaller mechs if it runs. Okay, let's just talk about the heat for a second here. Yeah, you have those 10 heat sinks. The most this thing will do, we got the 2 medium lasers and the AC5, that's 7. If you run, you're going to do 9 heat, so it's going to be running cool if you're running. But if you're going to engage your jump jets, it could be or cannot be. It's a possibility of heating this thing up. Because if you fire everything, if you're close enough to fire everything within 9, that's, like I said, you have your 7 heat, and if you jump 6, that's 13, so you're going to go up to 3 on the heat scale. And that's not a problem for 1 turn. You can do that. That's not a big deal. Now, if you do it for 2 turns, this is one of those mechs where you have to, if you do it 2 turns in a row, you're going to be moving yourself up in that -1 movement modifier, and that makes you a 5/8 mover. So you're going to be 5/8/6. So that leaves you 100% and probably going to be either disengaging by putting some terrain in between you and your opponents, or you're going to be jumping and not firing anything, maybe the autocannon. All right. And then with the autocannon, you can shoot out to 18 with that thing. That's a good deal. You know, that's with direct fire, you can punch little 5-point blocks here and there, and that kind of gets people's attention. It's not like an LRM-5 where if you hit, you have, typically it's going to be 3 points damage. You know, the way you roll, you know, you're going to roll 2d6, and the average is going to be a 6, 7, or 8, and that's typically going to be a 3. All right, but with this thing, it's going to be 5. And you get 20 shots with it. In a typical engagement, that's going to work pretty darn good. Now, let's just look real quick here. Variants. Now, there's one variant. What is it? Was it the 4U, maybe? I think something like that. Where basically it's the same mech, but you downgrade the AC5 to an AC2 and lose one of the medium lasers, and you got 2 AC2s. So 2 AC2s and a medium laser, and you're shooting a long range, so it becomes more of a harassment mech. And I don't remember if this thing loses a half ton or a ton of armor with that also. It's been a while since I looked at that thing. Never been a fan of it, and I'd rather run the standard book one 100% over that one. You know, I'd rather have that AC5 over an AC2. That's plain and simple. Alright? Now that we're talking about variants, you're probably already thinking, what would you do? Well, I know exactly what I would do. Drop the AC5 and replace it with a large laser. And you say, why would you do that? Well, it's pretty simple. Well, the large laser is 5 tons, so that frees up 4 tons right there, because you no longer need that ammo. So you got 4 tons to play with. So you could have a large laser, 2 medium lasers, and I don't know if this is actually, maybe it's the 4T or the 3T. I can't remember. It might be an actual variant where they actually drop the AC5 and make it a large laser. Yeah, you lose 3 hexes worth of distance with, you know, dropping it down from a 18 range to a 15 range, but you no longer have to worry about the ammo, but you're doing 3 more points of damage, so it's a give and take. So the 3 more points of damage, that works out pretty good. The only problem is that if you run and you fire the large laser, you don't have to worry about heat. But if you fire the large laser and the 2 medium lasers and you run, well, you're going to find yourself cooking pretty hard. You know, you're going to be up on the 6 on the heat scale. And if you jump, then obviously you're going to be really roasting hard. if you decide to do that. And then the next thing you know, you're going to have to not shoot anything and then probably jump out of the area just to disengage and try to cool off a little bit. That's what's going to take you a while to do that. Because you think about that, that's 14, 20 heat. You're up to 10 on the heat scale. Yeah, it would take you a while to cool off. And if you're 10 up on the heat scale, it's -2 modifier and a +1 to hit. So, yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So, most likely you're only going to either shoot the large laser or the 2 medium lasers. One or the other. Okay. So, that's kind of a variant I would do. But, you think about it, that one works good. And if you're doing a, like I said, a long campaign as a Merc captain or something, and you really want to do long range operations, let's say you're going to be hitting a planet and you're doing an insurrection, so you're fighting behind the lines, you're not going to have a lot of resupply when it comes to ammo or anything of that nature. That fits the build great, because then suddenly you can keep operating and operating behind the lines and never worry about having to reload. So that's a good variant right there. That would work great if you're not worried about if you're a really good pilot and you know how to balance your heat back and forth without turning yourself into a rotisserie roaster. Alright, so like I said, in standard form with this mech, you're basically 100% it's a overeating, jelly filled light mech. Okay, this guy will gonna go around and do a lot of scouting for you, try to be the eyes and ears for a follow-on, because I like to take this mech myself and toss it in. I keep saying this over and over. If you got a lance where you have a fire support lance, like a couple dervishes or two dervishes or 3 trebuchets or something of that nature, and you got some LRMs that can shoot back and you have a mobility, this makes a great mobile platform for the eyes and ears, and just plinking away at some range while moving as fast as possible and having your fellow lance mates just raining down all those LRMs on a slow-moving mech. That's it's like, sorry, buddy, but you're going to be taking all the fire from all of our missiles. That's pretty much how I like to use this guy. And like I said, he makes a good anti-light mech hunter. Okay, he has the speed. He can keep up or harass and run off lighter mechs that might only have, let's say you're running against a Locust or something of that nature. This mech can run those guys off, because a couple AC5 hits or a couple medium laser hits and their armor's gone, and they're going to be going, oh, well, I don't think I want to stick around much longer, because a couple more good hits like that and they're not going to want to be playing around. So that's kind of like how I like to use these guys, is go around the edges, look for that little hole that might sneak up on a medium mech or a large or assault mech. And later in the game, after a lot of these mechs, are tore up and they're looking for places to hide their open armor, and a light mech or medium mech can get around the edges and start hitting those flanks that are wide open, and looking for that crits and crit hunting. You only have one shot, let's say with the AC5, but hey, that might be the difference in the game. You might be the lucky guy that gets that critical. Let's say you hit somebody in the right torso and it's open and they have ammo in there, and you roll boxcars for chance critical, and next thing you know, you got 3 of them. You got 3 chances to hit that ammo and turn that guy into a crater. So they can do it. So keep an eye on it. Use this guy. He's worthwhile using in the game. And he has a little bit of extra. And think about how you might want to use him in a campaign also, if you might think about that extra variant I was talking about. Alright, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you in the next one.